Welcome back, students. Today we will discuss what is the differences between a class and a object. In object-oriented programming, this particular term object is referred to this concept of object. Because we use objects in the program, this programming style is called object-oriented programming. This programming is called object-oriented programming. So what is a object? Now let us define a class to be something, and let us imagine a class to be in the y-axis, a class to be in the y-axis, and in this side let us take some users of this class. Suppose this is a user of this class, this is a user of this class, this is a user of this class. So for every user, the class values can be different. This particular user may not require the same class to behave as this user would want the particular class to behave for his requirement. And their behavioral patterns, they're independent of one another. This particular user has put some values in this class. It has put some values in the class which are independent of what value for the same class user 2 must have been using. So this class has certain parameters and methods. This class has certain parameters and these methods, which is like a blank template. It's like a blank page. It's like a blank page, and these users are going to fill this. If it is an integer int data type, this class, so this particular user just has to put some values here. He may put a value here 500. This particular user may put a value here 1000. This value is made by user 1. This value is made by user 2 for an integer data type given in the class. These 500 and 1000, they are totally independent. They are totally independent of one another. If this particular user makes this to be 900, this value for user 1 still remains 500, and when this user 1 will make a change here, this value will remain as it is. So a class, we think of class as something predefined framework, or certain framework like certain blocks of blank files or blank storages. We think class as like a blank storage, and this storage is our data. Some may be integer data type, some may be a float data type. So these values inside this class is different maybe for a user 1, is different maybe for a user 2, and they are totally independent and mutually exclusive. They do not affect one another, changing their value. So a class can have a value 500 as well as the value 1000. Both are can be stored in the class. The class does not affect any number of users. We can create n number of users, we can create n number of users of the same class, and the class will have n blank the class will have n blank templates of this data type int, and each user will use his own template. This user 2 will use his own template. User 2 will use his own template. User 2 will use his own template. User 1 will use his own template. So, but inside the class, the values will be stored like this: 500, 1000. The class knows which value belongs to which user. So 1000 belongs to the second user, 500 belongs to the first user. So the class knows, but the object they do not know. They are mutually mutually exclusive. They do not know. So the class provides the template and the user uses the template.